What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Here with another interview. Got to keep these coming. Uh, Keeping the up and coming series rolling through June and July. Band, is it Majorine? Marjorine?
Marjorie. Yeah.
Margarine. Yeah. Coming out with an awesome new record, debut record. Is Mayonnaise an Instrument? So kind of a SpongeBob reference. Psychedelic garage rock band. Psyched to be here. How are y'all doing, guys?
Pretty good, man. Excited to be here too. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks to a record transfer. What's his name? The guy from record, Mr. Lee Lennox. Thank you for reaching out and asking about this. That's cool, man. Um, so is that a SpongeBob reference? His main is
Yes.
instrument. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
100%.
Is there like going to be a lot of SpongeBob references in the album, or?
I don't think that there's actually one SpongeBob reference in the album. Somebody asked me this recently, like where the idea came from and just to name the album this. And I honestly can't remember. It's been in my head for like 5 or 6 years to name the album that.
Mm.
And then we started actually making it last summer, and we were just talking to people about it. And I mentioned that it was going to be called Is Mayonnaise an Instrument? And pretty much like I'd say like 75% of people are like cool, and then like 25% of people are like, what the fuck? Why is it called that?
I mean, weird names are always the best though. Like psychedelic porn crumpets, Viagra boys. They're always the weirder the better, honestly.
100%. Yeah. I actually saw somebody posted in the Viagra Boys subreddit recently a question about actually using Viagra.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it was
yeah,
somebody.
yeah.
It's
It's so funny. It
amazing.
pops up all the time. Like,
So we've been joking that if Nickelodeon like comes after us with a lawsuit or something, that's just good press,
yeah, that'd be
anyways.
incredible publicity right there.
Yeah,
Like, you guys would
exactly.
be mega famous.
Bring it on.
And speaking of Viagra boys, actually, I've been in contact with Seb, their singer. So hopefully something will
Yeah,
fall through. But Viagra boys are just sick band.
yeah, I love them.
And then like you know that Ween and Pantera have all like done SpongeBob music, right?
I didn't know about Ween and Pantera. I know Ween
Yeah.
obviously does crazy weird stuff. What do you mean by SpongeBob music? Like stuff for the show?
Well, there's an episode. Sorry, I'm geeking out because I love SpongeBob. There's an
No, no, no,
episode
no,
where
yeah.
they're like it's like heavy metal and they're what's it like surfing down a big mountain of sand, I think. And then while they're
Yeah,
doing that, they're playing Metallica and then not Metallica, Pantera. And then there's a I forget where Ween is, but I know Ween is somewhere in SpongeBob. But
that actually, I know the episode. Obviously, if we're naming the album this, we have stories about SpongeBob,
I had to
and I
do
know the episode
research.
like, they're like, I think SpongeBob ends up like snowboarding down the mountain on his giant tongue or something like that, and they're playing like pinball. So yeah, I know, that makes sense.
It's awesome. And then so you guys are kind of that garagey band. Would you do you listen to OCs? Would you want to open up for OCs? Is that something?
100%. Yeah, I love the OCs. They're definitely a huge influence. Even like Dave and I, we started off in a band like together like 12 years ago or something like that. And that was when I first started like making and writing music, and also was getting into the OCs and like
Mm.
stuff like Ty Siegel, stuff like that. And they were definitely like a big influence on like early stuff, and then a lot of the stuff on this record too.
Sick. And then what other influences do you have for this record?
For this one, I was actually talking to a friend recently about like what makes this record, because we've just got a bunch of songs that have been written over the years, so have some other stuff, um, stuff that we're working on that'll come out soon, stuff that's like spacier, but this one is more like the garage rock sort of record.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'd say, yeah, definitely like a lot of OCs, Ty Siegel, and then like classic stuff. Like some of the song, like I'm always geeking about and obsessing over the Beatles and stuff like that. So definitely a lot of like little bits and pieces of songs will be influenced by classic 60s sounding stuff like Velvet Underground, stuff like that. I don't know. Then there's like dreamier sort of stuff. Like, I don't know, what would be some other influences you think?
Idea.
Yeah,
You wrote all the songs.
I would say the more garagey stuff. Just love like that like lo-fi psychedelic garage sound and fuzzy stuff too.
Awesome, dude. That's like my exact music taste, which is pretty funny. And then I guess what would your next album, you said your next project, whatever you're releasing, is that going to be Spacier, like Spaceman 3 almost?
That's a good. The sequence of what's coming out next is TBD. We have like a record of songs that are about dogs. There's actually a dog here with us right now.
Oh,
So there's a record of songs that are about dogs. It's like we refer to it as the dog album. That's definitely more still similarly like garagey.
I think it's even more garagey.
Yeah, it's more like it's like less ambitious in a way. That sounds wow, that's pretentious, but it's like it's like none of the songs take themselves very seriously at all because it's songs about dogs. So a lot of them are just like super straightforward and like just like let's try to make some catchy stuff about dogs.
Yeah, they're like short, poppy, catchy snippets of songs, really.
So that's like definitely a more garagey sort of thing. And then I actually was working on some stuff a few months ago that is a bit more like spacier, that is sort of a little bit similar to like some of the stuff that we've released for this project before, which is like a little bit more minimal and sort of has like electronic textures and themes too. That I'm like trying to finish up this summer and alongside the dog album. And then more like the like spacey stuff, which is sort of a part of the same batch of songs that have been written over the last like 10 or so years. That'll probably be something that we try to do maybe in the latter half of this year. We haven't even played, I think like Presence is like the only song that we've like played. So yeah, there's a lot of songs I've written over like the last like decade or so. And in the past, since starting this project, I've tried to like think about which songs go in each sort of release essentially. And then there's also like, we've got this thing called Trash Train, which is like
incredible name again.
I'm glad you think so. It's about this mythical place here in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And that's like very Giz, like super like it's us going for Giz. I feel like
driving, repetitive.
You gonna go see Giz at Forest Hills?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, are you? I don't know. Where are you based?
I'm in Atlanta.
Okay, cool. Hell yeah.
So
I don't know if they're playing in LA.
They are.
They
actually sold out the Fox Theater, and I have 2 sets of tickets because we bought like tickets as soon as it got announced, but they were way in the back because everyone picked them up, and then 6 months later, for some reason, the venue released tickets on the 10th row, and the 10th row is J, so I got row J, which is like they're awesome seats, same price, and I don't know what to do with the other tickets now, but super excited for that gig.
Hell yeah, that should be sick. But yeah, definitely love Giz. We saw them at the Hollywood Bowl last year when we were in LA.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like a year ago, pretty much like right now.
Yeah.
And we played a show out there, which is cool too.
And what Giz albums are you like really inspired by? Like, what's your favorite Giz album?
We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
For me, it's it's either Nonagon Infinity or Mind Fuzz. I go back and forth. Obviously, Nonagon Infinity is kind of their top tier. But there's something about Mind Fuzz for me that, it's kind of like the precursor to Nonagon, and it's awesome. I think some of their other ones also, like I love Polygon Wonderland.
Yeah.
Michael Told Banana obviously is unreal.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the name of the Garden Goblin?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. In addition to all those, probably Omnium Gatherium of like the most recent ones. just in the spirit of like we were just talking about how we have a bunch of different songs that have different sounds and stuff like that. And the spirit of that sort of like hodgepodge of sound is like, and they've done that a few times with different records, but like that one in particular sort of, I think, brought us back into loving Giz a whole lot more again too, which was sick.
Yeah, I really love their more psychedelic stuff like Mind Fuzz, but then also, dude,
Yeah.
their metal records are banging. Like
Yeah.
the
Matt,
last release is amazing.
yeah, the drummer in Marjorine, Matt, is very partial to like their sort of metal stuff. Uh, he's like averse to jam stuff. Like he want like just not a jam band guy,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know. I don't think like any. I mean, JD might be the most of the jam bandy of us. And it's funny because like yeah, Matt's just like super into like the metal stuff and really doesn't care if they're gonna play like a 15 to 20-minute version of The River or something like that. He's just like, nah, I'm ready for the heavy stuff, please.
That's another thing that actually sucks about the Atlanta gig because it's all seated, so there's no mosh. I saw Queens of the Stone Age there, and they had so many signs, no moshing allowed whatsoever. Like there's a little tiny pit. If you mosh, you will get kicked out, which sucks. But yeah, their metal is awesome. I get why your drummer likes it because like I feel like it's like really drum forward, you know?
Yeah,
Like especially in the mix.
Abs is literally a machine. It's crazy.
I know he
It's wild.
is. I'm trying to get like all access to that show to like try to do an interview, but that's also like a pain in the ass. Like
Definitely, yeah.
those kind of like in person is just like another level of work. And then
Yeah.
especially something as big as that is just taking a while, but hopefully we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then like you said, Ty Segall, right? What are your favorite Ty Segall releases?
Um, I would say probably like the one that had the biggest influence on me and probably this record in particular is Twins, which I think is from like 2012. Um, like honestly, there's a story about my buddy that I went to school with, that I lived with at the time, and the day that like Thank God for the Sinners came out, he just stayed up all night at the dispenser. He literally like drank a bottle of wine by himself, and he claims that he just listened to Thank God for the Sinners for like 8 hours and just like didn't sleep. It was just like, and that was just so like that was like very much of that time of like the music that we were listening to. So yeah, like Thank God for the Sinners, but also yeah, I don't know, like I was saying recently about like Ty, he's almost like the Neil Young of this generation of like sort of rock and roll stars, I think. He plays in more projects than Neil, which is crazy. But like he also does just, and that sort of came from the idea of him he does acoustic stuff like all the time now. Which I love. And I actually haven't caught any of his acoustic stuff either. Like live yet, but like love his acoustic albums, and like just in that sense of like being a songwriter and also collaborating with a bunch of different people too. I feel like he like is that generation of like Neil, just touching all of those different sort of sounds and stuff like that.
I know he's almost so busy that it's like I can't get any press time with him. Every single time I ask for press time, he's doing another project or something, which I kind of love because we get releases
Yeah,
so much and there's a new show here or there. It's
yeah,
beautiful. And his new record was like a complete bop. I really loved his new record. I think it's like
yeah,
6 months old now or something. But that's a really good record.
yeah.
And you know,
There's like a cool YouTube video. I can't remember who made it, but like it might be like Sonos or something like that. That did a video of like sort of behind the scenes stuff of him making that record, and I think the producer or engineer that he made it with, which is super cool. And they talk a lot about just like how they got a lot of the sounds and stuff like that too.
that's so cool, man. It's those kind of videos where it's like behind the scenes are always the best because I know Mastodon did one, and there's some like Tool footage out there. Like that's always so interesting to see like behind the scenes of like some of those biggest bands. It's always awesome.
Definitely.
And then this is a question I've been asking to all the kind of smaller bands that I've been interviewing, which is like you kind of can't do a I would love for you guys to do a tour, but I don't think that's kind of in the cards, I'm assuming. So what would be a band that you want to like open for? Would it be OCs or
I mean, yeah, OCs would be sick, obviously. I don't know. Who do you think?
never even thought about it.
I think a band that is like not super big, but they're definitely like big in the psych scene that we really dig, I think collectively, and we've seen a bunch of times. Actually, I'll say like two. Like love Acid Dad. That's a good one. They're like local to Brooklyn and stuff too. And then I'd also say Wine Lips.
Yeah.
We got really into because Acid Dad actually announced a tour with Wine Lips like last year, I think. And I'm in this like group chat of people that just like love psych stuff. And when the tour was announced, everybody was like Wine Lips, Wine Lips, and I had never heard of them before. And I was like, well, I was already going to go to this to see Acid Dad, and we all went and was like just blown away by Wine Lips too. So we've just been big on the Wine Lips train recently as well. So I'd say probably those two would be pretty sick.
Yeah, and depending on like the type of music we're playing, I feel like for Wine Lips, we'd have to lean a little more into like our skater punk sound.
Definitely, yeah.
I could see you guys opening for Frankie and the Witch Fingers too, because I know them and Wine Lips are good buds.
Yeah,
And
love
then,
Frankie.
Yeah, I will. I'll forward, I guess, Lee's email to John Dwyer, and we'll see if he can sort something out. He's kind of busy, but with the new record, we'll see if he can sort something out, because that would be really awesome.
That'd be
And then like,
yeah.
what venues are you guys playing in Brooklyn? Is it? I don't know if you've played the Steel House yet, but I mean, like, are there any? I know Joe's Pub is something. I know someone in Brooklyn has played that. So what else are you guys doing there?
Haven't played Joe's Pub, but we have like an album release show for the record on July 2nd. I don't know when this video is going to come out, but it's on
Probably
July 2nd.
next couple of days. That's cool. Yeah.
In the Knitting Factory, it's like the new Knitting Factory, which is in like the city at Baker Falls. Which we played a show there earlier this year, which was cool. We played shows at like the Sultan Room, Our Wicked Lady, stuff like that.
Yeah,
we also do
cool.
like, I don't know if we haven't done any this year, but we've done some like sort of DIY stuff that we just put on at the trash train. Also just like if people have like parties sometimes, like we played a party in a friend's backyard earlier this year. We actually released like a live cassette that's like with another band too, that was recorded on these like rooftop parties that we had in 2022. So playing like the like psych indie venues around here, and then doing some like pop-up DIY stuff too.
That's the DIY stuff is like really incredible, because I spoke to what's his name, Mr. Brandt of Caius, and they did like the generator parties, but they were like way out in the desert. And here in Georgia, I still have not seen like a big outdoor party that I've heard of. I know that there's a local ska band that plays basements that I'm gonna try to get into and try to go to that mosh pit. But I need to get into a DIY concert, man. Like how give me the rundown of like a DIY concert. How does that go for you guys preparing for it?
Oh man, I don't know if we have enough time for that. I mean, that's like we've been doing stuff like this forever. I mean, since I moved to New York like 8 or 9 years ago, we used to do these things in our friend's backyard in Crown Heights.
Basically like all day, one day music festivals where we probably have, I think some of the ones that we had. And we actually ventured into hosting these at venues eventually. Stuff, They started in backyards, and some of them we would have like 6-7 bands play throughout the day, DJs at night. DIY shows there. Yeah.
I mean, like the times where it's like the easiest, I would say, is when you have like a part of the cohort that's like working on the production and the like sound and just music stuff, and then a part of the cohort that's like working on just like hospitality, for lack of a better word, and just thinking of like where are people going to throw their trash, and like how are people going to get water, and like if it's on a rooftop, how are people going to know to go to the right part of the rooftop and stuff like that. And then it's a lot of carrying heavy speakers potentially upstairs and setting stuff up in like the heat and stuff like that. But it's it's fun. It's like an adrenaline rush. You forget to eat sometimes. It happens to me all and then I'm like at 11 p.m. like about to pass out. I'm like, oh shit, I need to eat a Snickers or something.
Dude, you got me hooked now. I need to go to like a local show.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely stuff going on now.
There's definitely is. It's got like you got to sniff it out, you know.
Yeah,
Because that's also another thing, right? I'm just getting into the smaller scene. I mean, small
yeah,
meaning like 1,000 listeners on Spotify or whatever. And so I don't have many contacts in that scene just yet. I'll get there eventually, but so right now I'm still figuring out my bearings of where I am. But dude, a small show
definitely.
just seems so cool. And like you see the videos on YouTube, but like OC is doing like shows in 2011, and it's like three
Yeah,
people there. It's just insane, like South by Southwest. Like that stuff
yeah.
just looks so insanely cool. And then speaking of South by Southwest, this is an interesting question. Do you think it's possible to keep politics out of music?
Mm.
Possible. I mean, possible. Yes, I think right because you don't need to. I mean, I say this coming as from somebody who's like, if somebody in my favorite band does something that I don't agree with, they are no longer my favorite band. So like, I'm unable to like keep some, but I think it's possible to write music that isn't inherently political, obviously.
Yeah, but I think you also have to think about like the decisions you make as a band. Like where are
Definitely.
you going to tour? Like where are you going to source materials from?
Yeah.
So like you can even there's a lot of bands now with things going on that are being criticized for, you know, where they're choosing to play and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We obviously don't have like a platform where we're influencing people, but obviously, as you grow bigger, as you get bigger, you have to be mindful of your influence and like what you were saying, like where you're playing. And yeah, I think you might be referencing like the stuff from South by Southwest that happened earlier
Yeah.
this year. And when that was happening, I was thinking a lot about sort of what we're discussing now of just like this happening to South by is a very interesting thing because South by is a platform. A lot of bands like don't even get paid to play there. It's just like if you get invited to play at South by, it's like this is an opportunity because it's South by Southwest and it's like the preeminent indie festival in the US essentially. And so now having this like it's easier for bigger bands to be like, we're not going to play this festival because we don't believe in these people that are sponsoring it and where the funding is coming from, and we don't want to align ourselves with that because they can make that decision from a monetary perspective. But like with South by, it's like it's difficult to hold that against any of these bands in some ways because it's like they're just literally trying to make a living and utilize this platform. And so I think next year in particular will be really interesting to see sort of who plays, if anybody does say we were invited to play, but we've decided not to, because a lot of those artists just aren't at sort of a level where they can say yes or no to those opportunities.
You put it terrifically, honestly. It's excuse my language, it's just fucked up. The whole thing. But I'm happy that people are finally looking at this kind of stuff and like realizing there's stuff wrong with it. Because like 5 years back, you know, or so when I was a little teeny tiny baby, people didn't care. And now it's a trend to care about politics. It's a trend to care about what's going on and the messed up stuff. So I'm glad that bands like Fontaines DC and Scowl are taking opportunities like this, and because it's great PR, you know, it's amazing PR, and it goes on Enemy and all these big magazines saying they're dropping out, they're doing the right thing. I just hope that they keep doing it because it's going to be a terrible look if a band that makes themselves political, which is great, you know, but they don't drop out just for certain things, like almost biased, because that's just going to screw them over. So
Definitely.
it's a slippery slope. It's a tight game, but the
Yeah.
bands like Scowl that are doing it right, fingers crossed they're going to keep doing it right. I have like tons of respect for another like Thor Harris of Swans. He did the same thing. He's been at all the protests. He's been constantly talking about how bad South by Southwest has treated him, and we need to talk out, man. We need to speak out. We need to revolt. I think that's like
Yeah.
the way forward. But it's also nice to see the sustainable festivals and sustainable bookers like Phil from Desert Days is an incredible book. He owns like the biggest booking agency in LA. and they do it
Yeah.
correctly, and they book the right bands to good, good venues. He has a whole festival to run. He's doing it perfectly. So I think if he's like the busiest man I know. If he can do it, I think anyone can.
Yeah.
That's my 2
Exactly.
cents on it.
Yeah.
Sorry
I mean, I think
sorry for the
definitely.
rant.
No, that's cool. I mean, I think definitely dream scenario is yeah, being at a place where we can make music and art that has an influence, and we can like align those things with things that we value. And we sort of do a little bit of that already. Like we've done shows, we've raised like those shows that we did in 2022. We raised I think like 500 something bucks for abortion funds through just like
Oh, awesome.
I think percentage of the bar or something like that at this DIY party that we did. Um, and we do some stuff with like local dog rescues too, to just be like, this is us using each other's platforms and stuff like that. So in what little ways we can, trying to like use influence in some ways.
We're actually we have what's the name of the dog that's hosting our next show?
Sponsoring our So we've been doing these like our show is sponsored by this dog that's looking for its forever home, with this local animal rescue called Badass Animal Rescue, which is awesome and would suggest everybody check them out. And so our first show that we did this with them was sponsored by this dog named Galaxy, who actually got adopted the day of the show. So we got to be like, that was all because of us.
One for one.
Yeah. And actually, yeah, I went. So this show is sponsored by this dog named Blackbeard. And I actually was telling them yesterday when I went to go meet him and he wasn't there because it was too hot. And I was like, yeah, the last time we did this, the dog got adopted. So would love if we can make that happen again. Like if we can have 100% record, making sure all these dogs get adopted would be awesome. So yeah, and like, I don't know. I do like, we try to think of just creative ways to do fun stuff. And obviously you have to do weird stuff to put yourself out there as an artist in 2024. So just trying to think of interesting ways and partnerships to do that.
But that's awesome, dude. Like I have a lot of friends that what's it called? Volunteered like the rescues, and I'm hopefully trying to convince my mom to get a rescue. We're not there yet, but doggy.
Rescue. I was gonna say. Yeah.
Is that I don't think that's Blackbeard, right? What's his or her name?
This is Kip.
Yeah.
He's a little
Kep?
Pomeranian. Kip,
13 years old.
13-year-old Pomeranian.
Say hi.
Aw.
Got it yesterday.
Maybe they should be on your next album, huh? That can be the dog album.
Yeah, I mean, so the dog album, I actually was texting with this dog owner yesterday. This dog named Flash, who we have a song about him. I used to walk him. I used to be a dog walker, and we have a song called Flashy Boy about him. And I've been wanting him to be on the cover of the dog album for a while. So I was actually texting with his owner this week, being like, need to come hang out with Flash, get some pictures of him for this for the album cover. And she's pumped. She's like, this random dude wrote a song about my dog. But he's the man.
Best type of community, dude. Best type of community. That's so sick. And so the question would be like, what's next for you as a band? Because I know you write a lot of solo stuff, or you write by yourself, and a lot of these songs you've written over the past like million years. So the question is like, what do you want to do with like the next year or so? Would that be like writing an orchestra album or what?
I don't know about that. I mean, I do think sometimes about it'd be cool to get into like scoring stuff.
Oh yeah.
I did a lot of like music before, so a lot of like experimental stuff in the past. So it'd be cool to score stuff. But I think in terms of like for this particular project, we're finishing up the dog album right now. And then I want to finish up this sort of group of tracks that those were all written in drop D tuning. So that's like where they're all.
That's cool.
Like, drop D. It was like the first time I experimented with tuning, and it was just like, oh my god, my mind is expanding.
It only took 10 years.
Yeah, it only took like 10 years. I was just waiting. So I want to finish those up and hopefully get those out later this year. So I think those two will definitely come out later this year. And then, I mean, ideally, we've talked a lot about sort of getting together. The Trash Train album, we want to do like live, like as a band. and record it like live, like with minimal, if any, overdubs. And like bring in an engineer and potentially like a producer engineer to come in and engineer it so we can sort of just sit back and focus on just performing, because up till now it's just sort of engineered and produced by us, where sometimes that gets fucked up and like you forget to put the snare on the right channel and stuff like that because you're just doing a million different things at once. So ideally do like a record in that way. But we need to like come together and sort of finish writing that and get really tight as a group on those particular tracks.
Yeah.
And then hopefully, I don't know, this is a whole other curveball, but we also have a Christmas album that's coming up on being like 10 years old at this point. So really need to put that out there and like finish that. We've only like played one of those songs, I think, in this current iteration as a band. So hopefully maybe get around to doing the Christmas album as well. So a lot of things.
We just have, there's a lot of songs that we have. When the other two members who aren't here today, Matt and JD, joined the band, it was kind of, you know, I feel like when a lot of people join a new band, you learn like that first set and like you're kind of focused on that. But I think within like the first year of shows we were playing, we had played like over like 33 or 34 songs. And there's still more that we haven't played. So I think it's a lot of it's going to be about, as Nick was saying, just like getting a lot of stuff out there. I think this is like the album coming out on June 28th is like a huge hurdle because we like haven't really had a full release come out yet. We've been, you know, playing shows in New York at least and elsewhere for almost 2 years now. So it's gonna be really good for us to actually have like some solid material out there that's a little more expansive than what, you know, has already been released previously.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a plan. I was just thinking, another project that you could do, I know you're swamped, right? But another project you could do is Nick, you look like a lot of different people combined in one, like Keanu Reeves, Jesus, Noah Khan, Jared Leto. You should do a cover album of only like songs from those people. So that would be like, do like maybe 2 gospel songs, do a Dog Star song, 30 Seconds to Mars, and then Noah Khan. That would be amazing.
I love this idea. I've been joking. This like the project that's in the back of my brain that we haven't executed on at all, really. It's just like something I texted Dave about randomly is like we want to do a project of like sports songs.
Yeah.
So like it started with like taking a riff from like NFL primetime and turning it into like a crowd rock song, which is honestly
cool.
sick.
The music is awesome.
Yeah, and I was just all of a sudden like, why don't we take all these like sports melodies like and turn them into like psych stuff?
It's like all that like John Tesh and like usually orchestras.
Yeah, and you just play it on a guitar. So I mean, I love the idea of like covers of different people. I mean, in that sort of vein, I've thought about doing like love the Beatles and have thought about doing like for a while now doing like a 4-song EP that it's covers of Beatles songs from Rubber Soul, but it's one song from each member of the band. So like we already started like a version of If I Needed Someone, which is by George.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the John one from that is Norwegian Wood, which we've actually played together before. And then the Ringo one is Don't Pass Me By, which is, not Don't Pass Me By. What Goes On. Yeah. Which is like awesome. I'm a big Ringo stan for sure. And then Michelle would probably be the Paul one. So like in that vein of like thought of similar stuff.
Beautiful. Okay, so we have 4 minutes and 40 seconds because I don't have enough money to pay for Zoom Pro. So usually my question is has to do with the number 3, but because we do have 4 minutes, I'm gonna keep it to 2 divided by 2. So maybe one of y'all or both y'all can each do one, like answer one to this question, which would be one thing that could change someone's life for the better, for the worse. So it can be musical, it can be a book, it can be whatever.
Yeah, you go first.
I mean, I was actually talking to our Matt yesterday, our drummer in the studio, and like there was a time when I like first got into making music, which actually like from our first band that we were in, our friend Colin, who was like a massive influence on me as like a guitarist, because it was just like the dude who was good that I jammed with and watched him play and how he did stuff. And he had a loop pedal, and like literally like I watched him do loops with like this 2-channel loop pedal where he had a microphone plugged in, he would play drums and stuff and loop that, and then start playing guitar chords over it and loop a bass line. It's like he was creating music all on his own right there, right then and there. And like I immediately went out and bought a loop pedal, and then like so many of the songs on this album were just like written with the loop pedal. And there was like a period of like 5 or 6 years after that where if I was talking to somebody and they were talking about like playing guitar and all that stuff, I'd be like, you just gotta buy a loop pedal. It will literally change your life for better or for worse. I mean, yeah, you could become so upset. Now I've got like a bunch of DL4s and stuff. Like I love loop pedals too much. So I would say loop pedals probably for better or for worse.
Yeah, great answer.
I'd probably say, at least for playing music, is like finding people to play with. I think a lot of people who play music do it as like a hobby on their own, and like can enjoy fiddling around with the guitar or something like that. But then when you actually find like other people to play other instruments and you can like cohesively get together, not even like play songs, but just like jam on some notes and stuff, that like takes it to like a whole new level of like appreciation and enjoyment, and can really just kind of open your mind to all the different possibilities, just both from playing yourself, but also just enjoying music, going to other shows, listening to music on your own. I think really just takes it to a whole new level.
Totally agree.
The same answer, but mine was like technically it's human.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all so much for I guess reaching out and then being willing to do this interview. It was literally awesome talking to y'all. I don't think I'm gonna be in New York anytime soon, but if I am, I'd love to come and jam. I'll see. I need to put an Instagram like post or something asking the bands I know to like reach out if they need openers or something, because I've got a load of people for different genres that are like just incredible and need to go, including you guys, that need to go on tour. So I hope that we can figure something out, and I hope that you'll make it to Atlanta sooner than later. Okay.
Definitely would love to. I've been wanting to go to Shaky Knees, even outside of just like playing. I don't know if you've been to Shaky Knees, but that's like
I
one of
went
the only.
one day. It was amazing. And I'm getting an interview with Mr. Sweetwood, hopefully in the fall.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's like one of the only like just pure rock festivals out there, which is like crazy. Every time I see that lineup, it's like this is just rock band. So I love electronic music too, but you don't really see that on festivals that much these days.
Yeah. I saw Weezer, Queens of the Stone Age, Dinosaur Jr. at 1 a.m. Loads of The Offspring. Just it was an incredible day. Anyways, Zoom's about to kick me out, and it always gets really crappy when it kicks me out. Thank y'all so much. It's been wonderful talking to y'all, and have a wonderful day.
Too, man.
Bye.